Excuse me. Her voice was sharp, commanding. We need to discuss your yard. I set down my trowel, steeling myself for what was coming. Sure, Laura. What seems to be the problem? I kept my tone neutral, though irritation prickled beneath the surface. Those flowers are completely unacceptable. She gestured wildly with her clipboard, as if ready to issue a citation. They ruin the entire neighborhood's look. Do you really want to be that neighbor? It was a sunny afternoon when the confrontation finally happened. I was out in my yard happily tending to my newly planted flowers when I noticed her approaching, clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched on her head, and that unmistakable look of determination on her face. My heart raced as she marched up to me, her heels clicking on the pavement like a ticking clock. Homeowners associations, or HOAs, play a significant role in many residential communities across the country. Essentially, an HOA is an organization made up of homeowners within a specific neighborhood, established to manage and maintain common areas and enforce community rules. The primary purpose of an HOA is to uphold property values and ensure a certain standard of living for all residents. While this can lead to beautifully maintained neighborhoods, it often comes with its own set of challenges. Homeowners associations typically enforce a variety of rules and regulations that cover everything from architectural guidelines to yard maintenance. For instance, you might find regulations dictating the color of your house, the type of fencing allowed, or even the height of your grass. These rules are designed to create a cohesive look and feel within the community, but they can also lead to frustration among residents who feel their personal freedoms are being stifled. Common conflicts between residents and HOAs often arise from misunderstandings or disagreements over these rules. Perhaps a homeowner receives a notice for having a garden that's deemed too wild, or a complaint about a holiday decoration that doesn't fit the HOA's guidelines. These disputes can escalate quickly, especially when a resident feels unfairly targeted. Setting the stage for our Laura encounter, it's easy to see how tensions can flare in these situations. Laura Bennett works for the HOA department. She's the self-appointed enforcer of community standards, armed with a clipboard and an unwavering sense of entitlement. With a personality that blends assertiveness and a touch of drama, she's the kind of person who believes that rules are meant to be followed, by everyone else, of course. Laura has a reputation in the neighborhood, and not for the right reasons. From complaints about the color of your mailbox to enforcing bizarre community rules, she's the kind of person who can turn a friendly neighborhood into a battlefield. Residents whisper stories of her previous run-ins, like the time she confronted a family for having a too colorful front yard, claiming it disrupted the neighborhood's aesthetic, or when she insisted that a neighbor remove their beloved garden gnome because it didn't match the HOA's approved decor. Once, she even cited someone for leaving their recycling bin out a few hours too early. She took a timestamp photo and sent it out in the neighborhood email thread, complete with a passive-aggressive reminder about community responsibility. There was even that infamous 4th of July debacle when Laura tried to ban sparklers, calling them miniature fire hazards. When someone pushed back, she stood in front of their driveway with a fire extinguisher, arms crossed. "If I see even one spark," she warned, "I'll be forced to file a formal safety violation report." Her knack for nitpicking has made her a local legend, and not in a good way. It all started when I decided to add a few vibrant flowers to my garden, hoping to bring some life to the otherwise drab landscape. I spent the weekend carefully planting marigolds, zinnias, and snapdragons, flowers that reminded me of my grandmother's garden. It was a simple act of joy. Little did I know this would trigger Laura's radar. She marched over, clipboard in hand, and declared that my choice of flowers was inappropriate and too chaotic for the neighborhood. According to her, my yard was a blight on the community, and she was determined to make sure I understood just how serious she was about maintaining her vision of perfection. She showed up on Monday, right on cue. "Excuse me," she called out, her voice dripping with authority. "I need to talk to you about your yard." I put down my trowel, bracing myself for the inevitable lecture. "Of course, Laura. What's the issue?" I replied, trying to keep my tone light, though I could feel the tension building. "Those flowers are completely out of line. They clash with the neighborhood's aesthetic," she huffed, waving her clipboard like a judge preparing to slam the gavel. "You're setting a terrible example for the community." I blinked, unsure if I'd heard her correctly. "They're just flowers, Laura. They bring some color to the place," I said, gesturing to the patch of bright blooms. "Color? More like chaos. This isn't a carnival. It's a planned community. I'll be reporting this to the HOA board." Before I could get another word in, she spun on her heel and stormed off toward her house. But fate had other plans for how this story would play out. Just as I was about to return to my garden, a low rumble of black SUVs rolled into the neighborhood. Out of nowhere, a couple of Secret Service agents appeared, looking serious and scanning the area. The juxtaposition was absurd. Laura raging over flower beds, and suddenly we were in an episode of 24. "Is everything all right here?" one of them asked, eyeing Laura with a mix of curiosity and concern. I couldn't believe my eyes. Yeah, just a little neighborhood dispute," I stammered, while Laura's face turned a shade of crimson. She looked like a malfunctioning robot caught in a logic loop, half mortified, half defiant. As the Secret Service agents approached, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Their presence was unexpected, and I could feel the tension in the air morph into something almost surreal. One of the agents, a tall man with a serious demeanor, stepped forward and addressed us. "We received a report about a potential disturbance in the area. Is everything all right?" I glanced at Laura, who was now visibly flustered. Her confident posture wavered as she realized that her authority was being challenged by figures who were, quite literally, used to dealing with high-stakes situations. Yes, everything is fine," she stammered, her bravado fading. "I was just discussing some neighborhood concerns," she managed to say, trying to regain composure. The agents exchanged glances, clearly intrigued by the absurdity of the situation. "Neighborhood concerns?" one of them repeated, raising an eyebrow. "Is this about the flowers?" "Yes, apparently my flowers are a threat to community standard," I added, with a dry laugh. Laura's face turned a shade of pale as she realized the power dynamics had shifted. No longer was she the queen bee of the neighborhood. She was now standing in front of federal agents, and her complaints seemed trivial in comparison. The agents, with their calm authority, had inadvertently turned the tables. Laura opened her mouth, but no words came out. The moment had flipped on her, and she knew it. The clipboard, once her scepter of power, now looked laughably out of place next to earpieces and dark sunglasses. The agents looked at each other again, then back at us. "Perhaps we should focus on more pressing matters," the other agent suggested, a hint of amusement in his voice. "Agreed," the first agent said, turning away. "Carry on." Laura stood there stunned before muttering something about needing to update the HOA files and retreating. I half expected her to disappear in a puff of embarrassment. As the SUVs rolled away, I returned to my flowers. The sun was still shining, the marigolds still vibrant, and for the first time in a long while, the air felt a little lighter. Laura, from what I heard, went a little quiet for a few weeks. Her HOA updates became less frequent. Her clipboard was nowhere to be seen. Some say she was mortified. Others claim she started a private Facebook group titled Neighborhood Standards Watch. Membership 1. Either way, the garden stayed. And as for me, I added a few more flowers. Just to be safe, I made sure to plant them in the shape of a smiley face. But then came the HOA board meeting. Apparently, news travels fast. especially when Secret Service agents are involved. The board called an emergency meeting, and word quickly spread that Laura's behavior had not only embarrassed the association, but had also sparked an official complaint. I didn't attend the meeting, but neighbors filled me in afterward. "Did you hear?" My neighbor Denise whispered one morning. "She's under investigation." "For what?" I asked, genuinely surprised. "Abuse of authority. Turns out she's been filing complaints that weren't even authorized by the board," Denise said. "And someone, maybe one of the agents, notified the local police. There's an inquiry now." Apparently, the police were looking into whether Laura had misused her HOA position to harass residents and whether she had falsely reported disturbances to law enforcement. The board had no choice but to act. An anonymous tip, rumored to be from someone on the board, revealed that Laura had submitted at least 14 unauthorized violation notices in the past 6 months. One poor soul got a warning for hosting birds too loudly. They had a bird feeder. The HOA board, in a rare display of unanimity, suspended Laura from her duties pending the outcome of the investigation. Her name was scrubbed from the HOA website. The board issued a public statement. "We are committed to upholding fairness and transparency in our community. No individual has the authority to impose personal standards in the name of the HOA." A few days later, a sign appeared in her front yard. "On leave, back soon." Someone mysteriously added, in red marker, "Please don't." It was the most exciting thing to hit the neighborhood since the food truck rally. After Laura's dramatic fall from grace, complete with Secret Service embarrassment, a police investigation, and a swift suspension from the HOA board, you'd think she'd quietly fade into suburban obscurity. For a while, it seemed like she had. Her once daily patrols vanished. Her front lawn, previously pristine and regulation perfect, grew suspiciously shaggy. It was as if the clipboard had been buried in the backyard. But as with all HOA legends, Laura wasn't done yet. It started subtly. A few weeks after her suspension, neighbors began noticing small changes. A new flyer was slipped into mailboxes, unsigned but unmistakably her tone. "Are you tired of unsightly lawn ornaments? Do you care about this community? Make your voice heard. Join the Citizens for Neighborhood Aesthetic Preservation." "CNAP?" My neighbor Greg scoffed, holding the flyer like it might infect him. "That's just Laura with a new title." The timing wasn't a coincidence. The HOA's annual board elections were coming up, and Laura, suspended but not officially ousted, was planning a return. She reappeared at the next public HOA meeting, wearing a power blazer and a frozen smile. Her clipboard was back. So were the passive-aggressive jabs. "Some of us still care about standards," she announced during the open forum, eyeing me and my now thriving rainbow flower patch. "It's unfortunate that recent events distracted from real issues, like unauthorized gnome displays and wind chimes over 60 decibels. A groan rippled through the crowd, but Laura wasn't done. She had a campaign strategy. Over the next week, yard signs popped up. "Vote Laura, bringing order back to the neighborhood." Someone altered one to read, "Vote Laura out," but she replaced it within hours. Then came the campaign video, emailed to every resident at 6 a.m. on a Sunday. It featured dramatic slow-motion shots of improperly parked cars, off-color shutters, and, yes, my flower bed. The video ended with Laura standing on her porch, arms crossed like a disgraced general plotting a coup. This community needs structure. It needs courage. It needs Laura. But the neighborhood wasn't having it. Greg started a counter-campaign. "Let flowers bloom, not tyrants." He hosted an ice cream social in protest, featuring a Free the Garden Sunday bar. Over 40 residents showed up. Another neighbor made a parody video. Laura's campaign set to dramatic opera music, ending with her slipping on a garden hose. reenacted but eerily accurate. And then came the final blow. The police investigation concluded. While Laura wasn't charged, the report cited a pattern of obsessive and unsubstantiated complaints, misuse of position, and creating a hostile environment. The HOA board voted unanimously to permanently remove her from any leadership role. She was officially barred from representing the HOA in any capacity. At the next board election, Laura ran anyway as a write-in. She received 2 votes, one was hers, the other was mysteriously ineligible to read. Laura still lives in the neighborhood, though she keeps a low profile now. Her clipboard has disappeared again, though someone swears they saw it in a garage sale, marked $1, never used successfully. My flowers are in full bloom now. Greg's wind chimes sing every evening. Carmen now leads a garden gnome welcome committee with official HOA approval. The HOA even passed a new amendment. No single board member may issue violations without a full vote. We call it the Laura rule. Laura may have thought she could bully me into submission, but standing my ground not only helped me maintain my dignity, but also turned the situation into something memorable. HOAs are supposed to maintain order, but sometimes the ones enforcing the rules need to be reminded of them too. And as for my flowers, they're still blooming, brighter than ever. Knowing your rights as a homeowner can empower you to stand up against unreasonable demands and assert your voice in the community. Whether it's a complaint about your garden or any other issue, don't let anyone intimidate you into silence. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful tales of resilience and justice. Your support allows us to keep delivering valuable insights and stories that inform and inspire people everywhere. Thank you for watching Work Story, and see you in the next one.